Welcome to the Life as an Observer podcast. My name is Ryan Bean. I am your host in self-observation. This podcast is an exploration of physical and non-physical self through discussion around yoga, meditation, self-improvement, self-realization, and practices that elevate the mind, body, soul connection. Let's start observing. Don Miguel Ruiz, the author of The Four Agreements, wrote that don't take anything personally, because taking things personally, you set yourself up for suffering, for nothing. Today we're going to take a dive into not taking things personally. Now this is something that has come into my awareness, and it's also affected me very recently. I have found that I am very quick to start to take things personally, especially when it comes to attendance to some of my classes, or maybe how someone responds. I immediately want to withdraw and say, is it me? Is it me? Is this the reason why this reaction or action is happening? Am I the cause? Am I the person? Am I the reason for this shift? So of course you have to do the work and try to process it in a way that gives you comfort, but also lets you know that you are not the reason. And so today in Life as an Observer, we're going to go through 5 tips to help you get through not taking things personally. Now, I really believe that taking things personally is deliberately serving a poisonous ego cocktail for yourself. When you take it personally, we feed that ego like it's me, it's got to be me, it has to be me. And so your ego then gets pumped up in a way where it says, yeah, look at me, look how I'm feeling. Don't you see how I'm feeling? And we immediately go down that spiral. See, people will love you and people will hate you, but really none of that has anything to do with you. It's really about their response to what is happening around them, and it is about your response and how you are feeling towards that person or that event. It's a really interesting way that we continue to live our lives, where we think about for instance, attendance to one of your events or your classes or something along those lines. And then we start to think, well, if I just taught a better class, maybe more people would come. Or maybe that class was too hard last time and no one wants to come back because they don't enjoy. Or maybe I said something. Did I say something? Did I offend you? And then we go into this self-preservation mode where we go, well, I can't see that person now because I think they're upset with me. And we just go down this road of assumptions. These assumptions. See, the ego wants to always be right. The ego wants to say, yeah, it's because of them. It's definitely because of them. That's the reason why this is not working out for you. Or, if you had someone behind you while you're driving and they're honking their horn trying to get around you, and you immediately take offense to that. You're going, what? Maybe I am driving too slow. Maybe I did something back there. Maybe I cut them off. And so we immediately kind of take responsibility for how someone else is feeling rather than how we are feeling. Maybe that person is just in a hurry. Maybe they need to be somewhere, and yes, maybe you are in their way, but it is not for you to take personally. It's not for you to act or react to. It's just saying that is what they're going through. See, many times when we go into this spiral, we begin to take one thing personally. Just the one thing. Let's just say it was something someone says or someone does, and we take that personally, but then we start to sort of like self-preserve, and other things that start to come up that feel very similar, that feel super close to what that felt like, we then take that personally. And that leads to another and another. And then it becomes a vibrational shift where we are feeling self-conscious, where we're feeling not confident, downward spiral into a lower vibration. So let's talk about the 5 tips. Things that we can do to help kind of maintain this order and we don't go down that downward spiral. First thing we need to do is ask ourselves a few questions. So the first one is it true? Is what I'm feeling true? So even asking the question, let's say the driver behind it, am I driving slow? Well, maybe not. Am I driving poorly? Maybe not. Is this person upset with me because of something I did? Or am I simply assuming that they're upset based upon how they are showing up? So just really slowing down, saying, okay, is this true? In the same book that Don Miguel Ruiz wrote, The 4 Agreements, he talks about don't take anything personally because nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality, their own dream. When you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. So the next tip number 2, is ask, why does this hurt? Why does this make me react? Why am I feeling something based upon what you're doing? Or how the situation is turning out. The story about a class or an event being not full. Why does this hurt? Is it because I have felt this before? Do I feel like I'm not being successful? Do I feel like I could do more? Just asking yourself, why does this hurt? Where is this touching me? Where is this causing me any kind of pain or suffering? The third, this is the easiest one for me. Pause. Just take a pause. Don't make any assumptions. Just take a pause, which usually for me includes just breathing. Just breathing. Being present and taking a pause. Number 4 is shift your focus into maybe more uplifting or positive activities. So it could be saying, hey, I see that this is happening right now. I'm feeling self-conscious about this event not going well. I'm going to shift this by going to a yoga class and bringing my vibration up, feeling grounded. Maybe it's something else for you. Maybe it's just being outside into nature or doing something along those lines, just getting outside. Shift the vibration or shift your focus, really. So even if that is just picking up a book or turning on something on television, just shift the focus away from the negative self-narrative into something that's more uplifting. Now, don't turn the TV on and watch something negative, but just something where you can take a shift and take a pause there. And the final tip for overcoming this taking things personally is give space to connect to flow and harmony. Now, this kind of goes with number 4, but a little bit deeper. Getting into nature, giving some space to connect to self. Now, that might be a meditation. That may be just being out into nature, getting your hands in the dirt, maybe holding a crystal, just being part of something else where you can give space to connect to flow. I like to put my feet into the river, and I think that just feels really good to do that if you have the opportunity to. Getting into cold water, for me, just shifting that awareness and coming into space that is flow. Now, this is not all easy. These are just tips to help you get along, but sometimes we go down this rabbit hole of negativity, and we have to remember that the way someone feels or acts is not about you. That's their own. That is their own response. That is their own karma. That is their own vibration. And it's not about you. The way you feel about yourself is about you. Now, there is sometimes when it is about you. There is some times where maybe you did do something that created a response from someone else. So we have to kind of go back to that tip number 1. Is it true? And if you answer yes, it is true, then what we need to do is give ourselves a little bit of empathy. Be vulnerable about our feelings, and just talk about it, maybe with that particular person or with someone else, but really just be kind to ourselves, saying, hey, this thing that I did, or this action, or these words that I used caused a reaction, and I'd like to talk about it. I'd like to communicate about it. I'd like to see where this goes. It's not admitting fault necessarily, like, hey, I'm deliberately did you wrong. It's this thing happened and I want to talk about it. The way you're feeling is valid. And this is how I see it. So we can easily just give ourselves a little bit of empathy and just say, hey, it's okay. It's okay to mess up sometimes. It's okay to feel that way. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. This is fine, and it can be shifted. And so then we move back into our shifting, where we go into those uplifting activities, or we get ourselves into nature, and just really taking that sacred pause, that pause that says, hey, I love myself, and I don't want to be in this vibration all day. I can make a shift. So together, we're going to make a shift. No matter where you are, if you're driving, don't close your eyes. But if you're just sitting down, or you're hanging out by your porch, or you're looking outside into nature, I want you to see if you can just take a moment that is a sacred pause. Now, in this sacred pause, you may start to think about areas in your life, or a time when you took something personally, where someone's actions caused a reaction within you, and you may have jumped to an assumption, and you may have taken it personally, saying, this must be me. You must be doing this because of something I did, or there's a reason behind it. I am at fault. I want you to see if you can drop into that feeling for a minute. Not reliving the moment, not trying to recreate it, but just sensing the way that felt, or how it feels. And I want you just to recognize it and allow it to be there. Don't try to move it or change it right now. Now, as you recall that moment, I want you to ask yourself those questions. Is this feeling that's coming up, or these accusations that I'm taking personally, is it true? And if it is true, then give yourself a little bit of empathy, a little bit of comfort, saying it's okay. All things can be worked through. But I want you to ask, why does this hurt? Why does this feeling, why does this hurt you? Why does it continue to be in your vibration? Why is it still here? Does it hurt? Why does it hurt? Now, in this sacred pause, taking a breath in through your nose, just taking it in, letting the belly expand, the heart lift, and maybe just hold at the top. And as you release, I want you to feel almost that ripple of pleasure that goes down your body, down your knees, down your toes. Just releasing that breath. Now go ahead and breathe in again. Roll the shoulders back. Feel that way of uplifting, that sense of I'm okay, I'm all right. And as you release Let that breath ripple down the body. I am safe. I am comfortable. I'm okay. Just offering as many breaths as you need, long and deep, and maybe even holding at the top. As you release the breaths, giving you these encouraging and empathetic words. I love you. I'm listening to you, body. I hear you that there is a little bit of pain here. That there were some assumptions made, that there were thoughts and feelings and sensations all over around this particular situation. Now in this space, we're not here to figure it out with the person or the conflict that's here. We're not here to try to find any answers. But we're really sitting with the sensation that the way that someone else is feeling is about them, and the way that you feel is about you. Give yourself some space here, connecting to your heart, connecting to your breath, connecting to that vulnerable place within you that either says yes, it's true, or no, it's not. And ask yourself, why does this hurt? And you may find in this investigation that this assumption that you made and that you took it personally was based off a past experience. It was based off something that happened long ago, a time when maybe it was true, but now it's not. See, as we get into this defensive mode, the ego wants to be right. It wants to say, you're accusing me, but you're the one at fault. Your action is the one that's at fault. And if we sit into that space where our heart coherence is, and we just offer empathy for ourselves, we begin to move away from the need to be right completely. We don't need to be right. We just simply need to feel better. Don't take anything personally. Nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality, their own dream. As we come out of that space where we're kind of sitting in our own suffering, we can shift maybe. As you open your eyes from this meditation, maybe you shift just to seeing something beautiful on the horizon or something beautiful in your room and appreciating its beauty. Not letting this thing or this item that you've taken personally lead to another and to another and become a vibrational shift. Taking responsibility now and being a little bit vulnerable. A little bit vulnerable. And having the courage to say, hey, I did this. Or hey, this is not about me. It's not about what I'm saying that's hurting you, is maybe what you may be thinking, or the feeling is not what's hurting you. It's that you have these wounds that have been touched by maybe what someone has said. So really, we're hurting ourselves. There's no way I can take this personally as though I'm hurting myself. So really thinking about that reaction mode as you touching old wounds and moving into the space to heal them through your own vulnerability, through giving yourself space, and maybe reconnecting to flow, to harmony, to nature, to yoga, to your meditation, just shifting that focus in a sacred pause to begin to heal. Thank you for joining Life as an Observer today. Moving through this week, more observant to how we're taking things personally and how we show up by the 5 tips. Is it true? Does it hurt? Or why does it hurt? Pausing, shifting focus to uplifting activities, and giving space to connect to flow. Much love, my friends. See you next week.